The whole idea of the song came to me when I was working on. Do we have the book here? Hold on, just give me 1 second. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, let me explain. Hold on. Hello. See, I was working on this book. I don't know if you can see. Let me see if you can see it. This book. I was working on the Iliad by Homer. This is the original text. I don't know, a billion pages, like 500 pages. And this is a very interesting story. It's a one of two parts of books. The first one is the Iliad. The other one is the Odyssey. And this is a story. I'm not going to tell you the whole story, but basically it's like this big Bible book of Greek mythology. What did you say, Kill? Yeah, I caught it like 3 months ago. It's not new. I went full bald. Like 3 months ago, I decided to cut everything and just go full bald. And what you're seeing right now is basically the hair regrowing because it had some issues that I had to fix. And the only way to fix it would be to like make sure that there's no hair on the head anymore, so I can apply drugs and everything. It's a boring story. Anyway, getting back to the important thing. This is a book about Greek mythology, and it's awesome. I highly recommend it if you're into these like geeky books and everything. And I'm gonna be talking about books today a lot. So if you don't like books, I truly apologize. But on the plus side, it's gonna be a shorter stream. Anyway, there's this guy. I will get into it, Killer, because I have some exciting news on that front. This is all me setting everything up for the big thing probably at the like midway to the end of the stream. And I'm kind of a geeky guy. I've studied literature in university. I have a crap ton of books here, short stories, long stories, like novels, novelettes, books on language. It's a boring. I'm gonna talk about them later. But anyway. Hey, Artemis is here too. Hello. So I was working on this. Artemis, I was talking about this book. If you can see, I was working on the Iliad by Homer a while ago. And in it, there's a bunch of these different characters. So many of them are like super famous because they've been inspired to be utilized in different kinds of stories. You know, like Zeus and like Athena. Believe it or not, Artemis is also a goddess in that book as well. But there's let me tell you the story of how this whole labyrinth idea came into existence and how did it turn into a love song. So I'm gonna give you a very, very brief overall story arc of how we get into this. But basically in the Greek mythology, there was this big like cloud of god called Chaos, and then he like had a bunch of different gods come out of him, something like that. One of them was Zeus, one of them was Kronos. We had the Titans before gods. The Titans, they all let's imagine that for the sake of brevity here, all of these different Titans were assigned to a different element. So for example, time was for Kronos, earth was for Gaia, etc., etc. And like I said, time was for Kronos. Kronos was the god of time. That's why when you on your phone, when you want to measure times, you use a chronometer. Chrono is the Greek or Latin word for time. And a chronometer means something that measures time. Basically, what happens is that this guy, he's a god of time. He's pretty cool. But there's this whole idea in the Greek mythology, like most of the mythology in the world, there's the idea of regicide and patricide and matricide. Big words basically mean that usually sons kill their fathers, fathers killed their fathers who are kings. You know, the whole no king rules forever deal. Long story short, Kronos talks to these oracles. Oracles are basically like prophets. They foresee the future. They tell him that your firstborn son will kill you or will like destroy you. That's like written in the fates. There are three sisters of fate, and if I remember their names correctly, one of them is Lachesis, L-A-H, I think, K-E-S-I-S, Atropos, and something else. I forgot the third one, the big one for the future. Anyway, there's these three sisters, past, present, future, and one of them tells them that your son will kill you, and what he does, that he decides to eat their sons. He eat his children, let's call it, because he also had daughters as well. And, he does everything. His wife, Rhea, R-H-A-A, who is like this super sacred figure, wants to preserve her last child. So instead of that, she asks the gods for help, and the gods with an eagle bring her a big boulder, big rock, and she gives the big boulder to Kronos to eat instead of the last son, and she gives the son to the eagle to take it away. And Kronos eats the boulder, but because it's a boulder, it kind of gets stuck in his throat. He coughs, the children come out. It's a whole thing. Anyway, the son grows on a separate location, a separate place, in a separate, like, entirely desolate location, and he turns out to be Zeus, like the god of gods. And what happens is that Zeus asks of his family from the entities that have raised him, like the Gaia and the other titans. They tell him that you were supposed to be a sacrifice to the god of time. And so what Zeus does, because Zeus is not a fair god, Zeus is a very angry god. That's why he is always portrayed with a thunder in his hand. He's angry. He's always ready to smite. And he exiles Kronos to Earth. Kronos comes to Earth. Fun story. He because he's a titan, he's like this huge thing. Nobody would people will run away from him, other than one guy who gives him a sanctuary, gives him like refuge, keeps him safe, and for a while. And his name is Janus, Janus. And interesting fact, I don't know why I'm telling you all of these just to get to the labyrinth, but it's a very interesting story. What happens is that in order to thank Janus for trusting the god of time, Kronos gives Janus two faces. One face always looking at winter, one face always looking at spring. And that's why January, the icon of January, is a dude with two faces. That's basically Janus. Anyway, Kronos is exiled to Earth, and then he gets exiled again to wander in this big desert. And Zeus orders a temple to be built. We're getting to the labyrinth now. A temple to be built on him. A big temple on Kronos. And the architect, see, here's the thing. The architect of this temple is Pathos Verdus. The entire bloodline, Pathos Verdus. The first, the second, and the third. These three, like generations of families, create this temple to keep a very specific thing hidden and away from everyone. What that thing is, it's a different story, but basically that thing is hidden in this big labyrinth that's so convoluted and so complex that even its architect, Pathos Verdus III, can't find a way out and dies in that labyrinth. That's the whole story. But this story was very inspiring for me because, I don't know, I guess weird stories kind of turn my mental prowess on.